What's up, guys? It's Lugo back with Flex Pill episode 82. Today was week 14, day 3, my primary pull day. We had some deadlifts on the menu first. I had a top set of four with 407 pounds, and then I had three sets of four for my back downs with 363 pounds. As far as the deadlifts went today, I'm pretty happy with how they moved. Technique is feeling pretty locked in, feeling like I'm pulling the slack pretty well, and my grip is feeling strong. And that's pretty good because as far as it goes, my technique isn't really going to improve. I'm not really when you get to strength, your technique is kind of already drilled in from what you've done with reps and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to see where I can take my deadlifts. Um, this block, especially with maybe having a little bit reduced effort just so I could push my squat more. But as far as it goes, I'm feeling pretty good, confident about this session. I kind of had this conversation before in another video where today was kind of one of those days where I came in, I was drinking my pre-workout and I was like, all right, this is not hitting. I'm feeling tired, a little bit groggy, and I know that I'm gonna try my hardest to do what I came here to do. And as far as primary lifts, deadlifts I did, and I feel like my technique was really good. The speed was really fast as well. But after deadlifts, I was kind of fading, already. Like I was tired. Moving to my pull downs here that I do after deadlifts, I was like, wow. I was gonna go up and go heavy, but I was like, this feels heavy as fuck. And two plates on here is obviously heavy for me anyway, but the way that it felt, I was like, wow, I need to relax because um this is not moving. It's not moving how I want it to move, and I just really need to lock in, you know, try to move the weight with some efficiency and really make sure that I'm controlling it on the way down. So I'm very excited on that front that I was able to reel myself in and really just make sure that I can get a good stimulus, because it's not always about the weight, and that's something that I tend to get away from sometimes where I'm only focused on the weight. That's all that matters to me is just getting more reps, and um standardization of form is pretty important, and making sure that your session to session form stays the same so that you can really standardize it is important. And sometimes I get away from that for the sake of just progression, and I don't really think that it's a good mindset to have because again, I don't feel like you can increase your weight session to session and still not get bigger because you're just fudging the form. So I really think that the stimulus matters a lot, and weight is not the only way to get a stimulus, from lifting for your muscles. And I think arguably everything else is just as important. But again, there's not, according to recent literature, it's not really supported as people would say. And I almost feel like I don't know, like I don't want to believe that the concentric is useless as it's been said in recent literature by science-based lifters. Obviously I don't read the literature and I'm not caught up with all that kind of stuff, but I really, when I feel like when I control it, it just feels so much better, and I'm like more connected with my muscle. And I'm not somebody that really has like a bad mind to muscle connection, and I don't know, it just looks so good and it feels so good, man. So like doing it, it improves my session so much, and it obviously reduces the amount of weight that you have to use, which for me is like a pretty big plus, because sometimes heavier weight, all it really does is just stress your joints out. And a lot of people think they're invincible and think that it won't catch up to them, but trust me, at some point it will. We're not young forever, and we're not invincible like we believe we are, especially when you lift heavy weight. But those are things that really start to show with age, and the degradation of your body. Obviously, a lot of it is genetic, and how much you can withstand and get away with. But as you get older, anyway, it's more and more increasingly hard to get away with stuff, because your body just degrades over time. But um, I've kind of went on a tangent there. Again, I just every session, regardless of what happens, I'm just really trying to put in a lot of effort, a lot of grit, determination, especially with I have to remember sometimes too that I'm also losing weight, a significant amount of weight. So my strength is not always going to be where I want it to be. It's one thing if I'm eating a ton of calories and I'm not progressing, but I'm in a deficit. I'm in a pretty marginal deficit as far as it goes. I'm not sure where my maintenance is, but I know that what I'm eating right now is pretty hefty. And then I'm also walking, 12,000 steps every day, and just really trying to get it in. So I think I have to give myself some grace, if I'm not matching every session. Um, as long as I could just, again, keep the effort up. That's all I try to do when I come in here is match my primary lifts, and then everything else, just keep the intensity, the effort, the whatever I need to do up, and just get after it. So I hope that was a little bit of a coherent one. Sometimes I tend to just ramble and pick at the thoughts, and I could write a script and do all this other stuff, but sometimes you just take a few takes to kind of form opinions and ideas about things, and hopefully not wander off too much sometimes. But that's pretty much it, guys. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, a comment, or a subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow for or no, not tomorrow. The day after tomorrow, the 28th, for day 4, and another single. Thanks for watching.